And so, folks, at this time, I want to officially welcome you to the Tuesday edition of the Hour of Politics. Welcome. You know, your host is always me, Anthony C. Welcome. I can't ask you enough to hit that share button. The Hour of Politics is about politics, people. And you know it. And we got a heavy one for you. And so we will get started here. The topic for today's edition of the Hour of Politics: Cummings names his real change team for 2023. So Alexander Benedict Cummings has named his team for 2023. What does that even mean? Is there his campaign team? Or what kind of team is it? He said that is his team, 2023 team. And the name is the Real Change Team. Are we in campaign? Well, it is not campaign team, right? Well, whatever that is, we have a team, Cummings, Dub, the Real Change Team. The question we need to ask is the team the Real Change Team? If you look at all the names that have been released to us today as a country, does that list reflect real change? Are the characters, are the individuals that we see on that list representation of what real change is? What is your take? And if you have not seen the names, we will share some of them with you to give us an idea, a semblance of what kind of team Cummings has put together. But here's the thing though. Whatever you and me or others think about those individuals, the other question is there a possibility to have come up with a list of individuals or a team that will be clean and free of questions? Are they Liberians, first of all? Do they have the right to participate? Where else could Cummings, where else could he go? What other names could he bring to the fore? But we will get to it. Well, let us get started here quickly, folks. So, Alexander Benedict Cummings, we know on the 2nd of this month, they sent out a press statement, and the press statement was informing us, the Liberian people, that there will be a major press conference today. And the press conference was intended for Cummings to unveil his team for 2023. Here is that particular press statement, alerting, informing us as a nation and people that Mr. Cummings will be unveiling a team. They make a big spectacle about it. It was like a big news that, the magic was about to be set into motion, for the country to be able to, regain some semblance of hope. And so we were all hoping and hoping. And there is the press statement. Monrovia, Liberia, October the 2nd, 2022. There is to inform the general public that the political leader / standard bearer of the collaborating political parties, Mr. Alexander Benedict Cummings, will need initial members of his 2023 team dubbed Team Cummings and the Real Change Team. So, folks, there you have it. So, what we can gather from this particular press statement was that Cummings was having a press conference today to tell us who are the individuals, some of the individuals that will be part of his team. That was the sole purpose of this particular press statement. That was what we were told. So, but then we have to also beg the question, what was the focus of this particular press conference today. It is obvious and evidence from the press statement that I just displayed to you that the focus there was to share some names of Liberians with us who will help Cummings to become president of Liberia. The press statement was dated October the 2nd. October the 2nd, the nation was already dealing with shortage of rice. Already, the opposition was criticizing rightfully, so that I agree with them 100%, the government of Liberia for its lack of leadership, the president of Liberia for his lack of leadership in what we now know to be rice shortage on the market. We were already dealing with that. We have already seen women and men lining up at warehouses trying to get rice, some sleeping there for days. We have already started seeing people jumping over fences just to get rice. We have already seen the price of rice come up. October 7, we have already seen that. Liberians have already cried enough. And yet, what was so important to Mr. Cummings and the ANC, the parties that is named the Alternative National Congress, during a major rice crisis that the nation was dealing with, while we were all grilling an ineffective president, a zero president, by the way, who showed no empathy, who treated the issue of the rice shortage as gossip, and that there was so much rice in the country, who will not address the nation about what is a serious crisis, while we were still dealing with this government, holding this government accountable, including members of the ANC. You would think that now that the president of Liberia has failed to address this issue, the opposition political leader, Alexander Benedict Cummings, will show leadership in this time of crisis to call a press conference to inform Liberians about what is unfolding in the country. Or if he could not inform us of what's happening, could he have even called a press conference to ask questions, what is going on, and demand information from the government as to what was responsible for people having it so difficult, or finding it so difficult getting the rice that they need to eat. Mr. Cummings did not call a press conference, just as President Weah will not call a press conference, just as the government of Liberia will not inform us. Mr. Cummings and all other political leaders will not treat this issue with the urgency that it had needed from the day it started. Mr. Cummings called a press conference to tell us about political bureaucrats that he's bringing together to help him become president. That was what became so important to the political party and the political leader, Alexander Benedict Cummings. There is absolutely nothing wrong with him telling us names of people, whether questionable or not, that he would like to see helping him and making his so-called real change team. Folks, the point is, the press conference was not held. What was the focus of the press conference? The focus of the press conference was to tell all about Louis Brown, McIntosh, Duncan Cassell, Yeke Koluba, Dan Morias, and I will come to these names and give you some G's, political G's on them, right? That was why Mr. Cummings felt that was important to tell us. But I must also submit and be fair, as I've always been fair, but tough, that during the press conference, which focus was more so to tell about political bureaucrats, armchair or chairwomans, people who have been completely freeloaders on the part of on the Liberian people's back, just for him to give all the names of these freeloaders. He found time. He later saw that it was necessary. He then remembered that we were in a crisis. So he decided now to tell us about the rice crisis. And so, recognizing that, Mr. Cummings took the time to explain to us the rice crisis that we are having in the country. He put a blame squarely on government. I would have thought that should have been the focus of the press conference, even though he raised the issue of the dangerous substances, cocaine. The individuals involved got busted. $1 million worth of cocaine discovered in our country. Even though Mr. Cummings talked about it during the press conference, he talked about the rice crisis, he criticized the government, he did all that. But the press conference was more so to tell us about Louis Brown, McIntosh, Dawkins Cassell, Yeke Koloba coming to help him. He has proven to us that that actually is a priority right now, to tell all about who's going to help him to become president. And now the crisis. So while it is true that I cannot take away that he found time to mention rice crisis and cocaine and the government failure and lack of leadership, his calculation to call a press conference solely to tell us about these individuals really does not put the focus on the crisis that we have on our hands. So if we are prepared to say President we are, it's yet to show leadership, we must also be prepared to say the political leaders, Alexander Cummings in this case, for not making this crisis and the cocaine issue the focus, the primary reason of this press conference, it is safe to say he too did not show the required and needed leadership on what we know to be a crisis. In other words, he has treated the rice issue as a secondary issue. This thing that citizens are dealing with and standing up in lines for days, he has treated it as a side issue. And why he has treated as paramount and primary to him, and paramount to him, is the issue of Louis Brown, a political bureaucrat who has held almost every position there is in government and has nothing to show other than his eloquence that puts bread on no one's table, that does not solve Liberian people's problem. What he has demonstrated here is to tell us about Toga McIntosh, who was in government and was accused of a massive passport scandal. That was his priority in the particular press conference. Mr. Cummings' priority during a rice crisis, his focus during a rice crisis, was to tell us about Julia Duncan Cassell, the woman who was used as a cash cow during Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration at the Ministry of Gender, if I'm not mistaken. That was what Mr. Cummings took interest in. Mr. Cummings' priority during a rice crisis was to tell us about Yeke Koloba, a guy who is a disgrace to our country, who behaves unruly, who is not an example, a good example to the young people of Liberia. That was Mr. Cummings' focus. That was his priority, to tell us about these individuals, many of whom have served in government, enjoyed themselves, and have nothing to show. So the point here is, what is the difference? Mr. Cummings, his team, following the lead of President Weah and the CDC, the CDC released a list that is about 500 individuals all around the world to re-elect President Weah. Whether or not it was in the works, but it's more like Cummings is following the lead of President Weah, releasing names of people who we all know have no proven record of delivering results. So, folks, let us get to the names. Cummings has brought this saying to us: you can't be doing the same thing over and over and expect different results. I don't know. He can't find. There are Liberians who have written a lot. He can't quote a Liberian. He's quoting Westerners. All right. You know, he brought a Western quote to our country, and that is the one he runs away with. I mean, there's nothing wrong with quoting somebody. If the quote makes sense, nothing wrong with that. But are you an example? Are you an example politically? Are you an example politically of what you have made to be a political statement? So, folks, if you look on the side of the CDC, you see Eugene Namwe from the NPFL and MPP. Seditions have no problem with that. Josh Manuel, President Weah, to put it right, also took Joel Howard Taylor, who was the queen of the MPFL and the MPP. Seditions have no problem with that. We will balance the discussion, the presentation. Joshua also rose with Prince Johnson, a murderer of the First Order. DRC indicted criminal, war criminal. The CDC are happily doing business with Prince Johnson. There is no issue whatsoever. Edwin Melvin Snow, his own President Weah side. Seditions have no problem, and supporters of President Weah have no problem. Charles Bright, another character from the MPFL and the MPP. Seditions have no problem with that. Nathaniel Mange, who's been indicted, or sanctioned by the Americans, came from the MPP. Sedition had no problem with that. They celebrated him. This thief was appointed by their president, and they were hailing him as somebody serious for governance in our country until the Americans have to sanction him. I'm saying to say that President Weah is on record for setting by example, bringing folks into government who were part of the old order, the MPFL people that came that persecuted a nasty who committed bloodshed in our country. Joshua told these people, Joel Howard Taylor is one he chose to be vice president of our country. Sedition celebrating Joel Howard Taylor today because of politics. They have nothing to say. That is a bad example. We know Eugene Namwe, why he was involved within the MPFL. We know Charles Bryce role in the Charles Taylor's government. We know Prince Johnson. We know Edwin Melvin Snow. And many others. We know them for the role they play either in the MPP government or in the MPFL. We know Louis Brown role. So now is Cummings, the man of real change. He's telling us he's naming his thing called real change. He follows the example of George Weah, who we all know is a bad example when it comes to choosing individuals to serve in public offices. President Weah is a terrible and horrible example. His judgment is clouded with sheer stupidity. Cummings comes and follows Weah's lead while criticizing Weah of not showing leadership. You want to know how? Just as Weah chose Eugene Namwe, Joel Howard Taylor, works with Prince Johnson, does business with Edwin Snow, chose Charles Bright, and many others you know from the ranks of the MPFL that are in his government today. Cummings follows the same example and chose Louis Brown from the MPFL and the MPP. What does Louis Brown have to show us other than his eloquence that does not put bread on anybody's table in Liberia? Louis Brown served as Minister of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism. During his term as Minister of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism, if I'm not mistaken, he might have served for either 4 or 3 years. Liberia did not raise a dime in tourism. There are many countries in the world today, they make billions for just their tourism sector. During Louis Brown time, the tourism sector of Liberia was buried completely. In fact, if you go far back, you will not see any significant line, budget line, in the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf 12 years budget for tourism. And this is the man, not only from the MPFL, not only from the MPP, but from the Ellen or other that Cummings is bringing and introducing us, and that is his priority right now as we speak. And then Togawe, Macintosh, Gawe rather, Toga, Gawe, Macintosh. Of what we know that happened in the past. He was one of the agitators. We also know of this reported passport scandal that he had a heavy hand in. That remains an allegation. But Cummings does not care about that, right? And he is telling us this is the real change team. I talk about Julia Duncan Cassell. She was like a cash cow of corruption at the Ministry of Cultural Affairs. Ministry of Gender during the early time. Daniel Chie. I believe Daniel Chie was Minister of Defense during Charles Taylor time throughout. That is the man of real change. Yeke Koluba? Are we talking about change here, Mr. Cummings? This is the best Cummings can do. To give her a Yeke Koluba just because his profession, his expertise is to insult and put together a useless brigade. Cummings needs to do better. To have chosen to give us names of questionable characters as his priority right now, as the focus of what's supposed to be a press conference about the country, then I don't know what is Mr. Cummings' priority here. But hey, the man is a politician. He has to win. He has to pull his team together. So he has given her his team. Let's be fair here. Where else could Cummings have gone? Are the Liberian people, the voters, do they even care? Do they even care about accountability? Do they care about anything called clean hands? We know what the current administration is doing. We see young people in Liberia going to George Weah Muno's grave to celebrate George Weah on his birthday while he plunders the nation's wealth. Everyone in Liberia has most people in Liberia, they have their side. I guarantee you, if Prince Johnson is to endorse Cummings today, Cummings people will find reason to justify that. This is the very Prince Johnson that Cummings gave money, about 50,000 United States dollars. He gave the money to Prince Johnson. What is the point of giving Prince Johnson money? under this guise of education. So, folks, this thing, we can't be doing the same thing over and over and expect different results. Cummings is not an example politically. He is not an example of that politically. His Cummings' argument is that, well, the voters only know these people, and minus these recycled political bureaucrats, there's nowhere I can go. So he wants Louis Brown. He's the son of Grand Bassa County, so you have to win some votes there, Togawe, Duncan, and all these people. And that's the only way he can win. Maybe that is the political calculation here. Is Cummings being smart? Is he being tactical here? But here is the thing, though. Since Cummings has mustered the courage to tell us that this is the real change team, why is Cummings not giving us an argument, good reason why he's picking these people? Despite the questions that you and many others have against these people. It is a debate. These people, though being accused, those people raising questions against their character. Now that Cummings has made a conscious decision to select these people, let Cummings come and give his argument why he has chosen those people. At least I will appreciate that. Can he come with an argument to say, look, you may have qualms with Mr. Brown. You may have qualms with Tuga Gateway Marketosh. You may have qualms with Daniel Chie, Yeke Koluba, Julia Dawkins, and the list. You may have qualms with these people, but these people have not been indicted by any laws in our country. There is not a court record against any of these people committing any serious crime. They are not being considered criminals by any of our laws or any of our court system or of our courts. These people are Liberians, and we have to work with all Liberians irrespective of what we think about them. Can Cummings muster the courage to provide an argument, reasons why he chose those people? Or are you just going to dash the names to us and then let us figure it out? Is that what it is? Because you may have a reason. When you are considering somebody for the job, you have to do a background check. The Cummings do background check. If a background check finds out that these people are not guilty of any crime by any court in our country, let him be prepared to make the argument. But he is not manning up to make that argument. He is telling us we just have to take them. And for some reason, these individuals are the men and women for real change according to him. That is unfortunate. Now, the other thing we must know also is Cummings released the names with no structure whatsoever. He followed the example of CDC that released the 500 names of individuals. Ali on the CDC they had this person chairman, this person for publicity, this person for this and that. But Cummings, the guy, from the structured environment, who's supposed to be a man of change, he names a team that has no structure. He constituted a team, and he said in no particular order. We don't know who the head is. We don't know whether there is a spokesman for that team, whether there's somebody who's there for legal affairs. We don't know whether there's somebody there for press. Nothing. He just sent out the list, and we are supposed to figure out. So I, as a media guy, if I want to reach out to the real change team, who do I call? Do I call McIntosh? If it is something about press, who do I call? Do I call Louis Brown because he's eloquent and talks and speaks better? Is that what it's supposed to be? What kind of leader constitutes a team and does not provide a leadership structure? Cummings lived his life in America here. No American presidential candidate or aspirant will name a team without any leadership structure. There will be a chair for this. There will be a person for legal. There will be somebody for press. They will do that. Mr. Cummings expects us to believe that he's doing the right thing by just throwing a bunch of names to us and telling us that these are the names that are for real change. Mr. Cummings got to do better. I know many of you don't like me, and but this is the work we do, and we do it for Liberia. We want it to be better. We want better for our country. We want our leaders to be able to give everything their best. They should do things right. Our problem have been we have not been getting it right. We have not been doing things the right way. We cannot continue to do things the way we continue to do. We need to start doing things the right way. And so, with that said, folks, may I say to you, on the question of whether or not Cummings raised the right issue during the press conference, of course he did. He raised the right issue, he raised the cocaine issue, but the focus of the press conference was more so about telling us about these individuals. All right. So we cannot change Liberia by recycling these political bureaucrats. That is the same thing Ellen Johnson Sirleaf did. That is the same thing Joshua is doing. It will not help us. It will not get us there. The press conference focus was not about the rice crisis that we have in the country. And even Mr. Cummings did not show, he showed zero solution, or the zero solutions were proffered during the press conference on the crisis that he talked about. Maybe his solution is just to tell us the individuals will be on the campaign team. And yet is the thing. Instead of Mr. Cummings having a press conference to tell about, recycle political bureaucrats, what about having a press conference to unveil his agriculture plan for Liberia? What's wrong with that? We have seen these names before. They are not new. These are the same thing. This is like doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf have this McIntosh, Louis Brown, and all these people in the government. Duncan Cassette, these people were in the government of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the darling of the world. We all know how it ended. Joshua got these same similar people in his government. All right. The Eugene Namwe of MPFL, the Joel Howard Taylor, the Queen of MPFL, the Charles Breyer of MPP, all these people. We have them. Where are we going with that? We know how bad it is. These are the same people. And like I said, if this is the best Cummings can do, let him give us his argument why he has to do this, but he will not do that. But let's continue here. Let us continue here. So what's about having a press conference for Mr. Cummings to unveil his agricultural plan for Liberia? We need solutions. But he's having a press conference about people. What's about Mr. Cummings having a press conference to talk about how to handle the availability and affordability of rice on the market? What's about that? What's about making that the focus of the press conference instead of making the focus of the press conference to tell us about political bureaucrats, recycle political bureaucrats who have nothing to show in terms of delivering results? What can McIntosh tell us? What can he tell us? This guy was appointed by his president. We had to be governance person, and he turned it down just to roll with Cummings. Is that what it is? And all that being said about him in the past does not matter now. So what's about having a press conference to talk about the availability, how to make the rice available on the market and how to make it affordable? That's what a leader will do in the time of crisis. President Weah is nowhere. President Weah is celebrating his birthday during rice crisis in the country, and he will not speak to the nation. And Cummings will not speak to the nation on this rice crisis to make his the primary focus why he's having his press conference. Yes, he talk about people jumping over the fence. Yes, people standing in line. But was that the focus of the press conference? Of course not. Of course not. So, folks, again, what about Cummings having a press conference to demand information from the government, demanding from this government to tell us what is happening. Why is rice not on the market? What about having a press conference about that? Why rice is not on the market? To demand that information. What's about having a press conference to even give this government an ultimatum to come and explain to the Liberian people why rice is not on the market? What's about having a press conference which focus is on the subject that I'm speaking of? What is wrong with that? What's about having any such press conference and even giving the Liberian government an ultimatum to come out and explain to the Liberian people why rice is not on the market? What's about that? And even in your ultimatum telling them that we gave you 72 hours, if you do not explain to us why people are finding it difficult to get rice on the market, and if you not make the rice available, we will call for a protest. What is wrong with that? That's my favorite thing. Protest. I'm a protest guy. What is wrong with that? You know why protest is good? It's good because when people protest, they don't go in the butches that the likes of Frank Johnson did. The like of Ellen Johnson did. Protest does not lead you to that. The likes of Eugene Nambwe, who rose with we are, the day they were in the butcher fighting for MPFL. And the likes of Charles Bride, they were the architect of that bloodletting. And they benefited from that. These are on we are side, and Cummings is bringing the same people on his side, and he's telling us they are for real change. Folks, let me share with you what Mr. Cummings said, and I disagree with. He said these Liberians reflect not just a rich pool of talents, but also rich diversity that is Liberia's. What? These Liberians reflect not just a rich pool of talents. What kind of talents Cummings talking about? What kind of talents? Just talk and talk like I'm talking and nothing to show for it? Is that the talent Mr. Cummings talking about? What kind of talents? Duncan Cassell, what talent does she have? What kind of talent that Cassell, Julia Duncan Cassell is bringing to the table? What talent? Being a cash cow of corruption? What talent is Louis Brown bringing? His eloquence, serving as a political bureaucrat, former Minister of Foreign Affairs, former National Security Advisor to Charles Taylor. Is that a talent? We have had people serving in government. We have never had a shortage of bureaucrats in our country. Yeah, we are today, we are suffering. We have brought the same bureaucrats, some of them unqualified. The Emmanuel Shaws of the world serving in we are government, the Charles Bride of the world serving in we are government. Cummings is complaining because these individuals who are experts in just warming executive chair, and Cummings is bringing the same people, and that is supposed to be the real change. That's the kind of talents he's talking about. If Cummings does not know, then I'm disappointed. Liberians are talented. They are all over the world. Find them and bring them. You don't have the ability to find those Liberians other than the ones we know who have always been in government. Those governments have been very ineffective. They should come and beat your drum. Daniel Chiyeka Koloba. This is not it. And no leadership for that so-called real change team. This is not it. This is not it. So what's about a press conference to unveil your agricultural plan for Liberia? Agriculture is our way out of the hole that Cummings is talking about. The hole that Louis Brown is talking about. That we are in a hole politically and economically, and I agree 100%. But just a list of bureaucrats going to get us out of that hole. A plan will get us out of that hole. A plan on agriculture will get get us out of that. A plan on education will get us out. A plan on the economy will get us out of that. Mr. Cummings has told us that he will raise Liberia's budget to $1 billion. That is not even bold. I felt disappointed when I heard that. I mean, $1 billion? You work for Coca-Cola, you talking billions, and then you can't talk about a single billion for our country? The provision of electricity in Liberia will require $1 billion. In fact, the American ambassador said the other day, over $1 billion has been spent. We are nowhere because of these very inefficient leaders who have always occupied government positions. These are the people Mr. Cummings bringing right back. So even if he raised that his single pitiful $1 billion he's talking about, it will all be squandered in the words of Joseph Boyka. Folks, these leaders need to get this thing together. We are at a crossroad here. Liberia is dead politically and economically. And the best, the one who is saying he is the change, telling us we can't be doing things over and over, same thing over and over, and he's doing the very thing over and over. So, folks, what's about a plan that speaks to the agriculture we're talking about? What's about Cummings bringing us a plan at this point in time? How he will raise the budget to $1 billion. All he does is just talk about it. We'll raise the budget to $1 billion. We'll do this. We'll do this. Where is the plan? It's a rating. Is it anywhere that I can read it? Is it hanging on a website somewhere? As we speak, Mr. Cummings, as an aspirant and candidate to be, does not have a website. When Barack Obama was running, he has a website, barackobama.com. When, what's his name? Now Biden running, when he was running, Biden had a website. Cummings left here. He knows how it is done. The last time a president he said, oh, we are trying to work on the website. When? The plan should be there right now for me to read. They are not there, probably on some kind of PDF hanging in somebody's email. This is not it. And they need to get it right. So, folks, where is the Cummings plan? When will Cummings have a press conference to unveil how he will raise the pitiful $1 billion? When will we get that press conference? So today, this press conference Mr. Cummings has had, the headline is going to be Cummings names Team Cummings real change. It will not be on the right shortage, the right crisis we have in today. It will not be how Cummings will solve our agricultural woes. It will not be how Cummings think we can solve the economic problems we are having. That is the headline you want to carry. But the headline now would be Cummings needs McIntosh and Louis Brown. And now politically, people will be going into their closet. And so the message of real change will be buried. The real change that he's saying he's trying to project. Real change team, my fault. If you pull a team together that is for real change, let people celebrate that list. But if that list is being questioned, then of course you must be prepared to come to the debate and tell us why you think it made logical sense at this point in time to choose a Brown, to choose a Cassell, to choose a McIntosh, to choose a Daniel Chie, to choose a Yeke Koluba, and why you think it makes absolute sense, and how in any shape and form these individuals are representation of what a real change is. Can Cummings make that argument how Yeke Koluba is for real change? And the others that he needs? If this is not a complete duplicate of what George Weah, a failed leader, has, then I don't know what it is. If you look on the Weah side, he got Prince Johnson. He got Edwin Snow. He got Eugene Namath. He got Joel Howard Taylor. He got Charles Bright. Now we'll count on Cummings' side, and many of these people are named, either they were associated with the war, either they were with MPFL, and they play a significant role, responsible for the suffering of our people. And you come on Cummings' side, you see the same exact players on his side, except with different names. How is that not the same thing over and over and expect different results? Folks, I must submit here. Mr. Cummings, with no question whatsoever, is an excellent Liberian who has exemplified himself in his professional career as a Liberian citizen. But this political life that he's living, his judgments, his decisions making, it's not every decision that will be perfect. I get it. I'm a political guy. It's not every decision that will be perfect. But then it becomes a debate, and you must emerge yourself. You must rise up to the occasion and provide your reason and inject yourself into the debate. Yeah, are my reasons why I'm choosing these people. I know these people might not be your best Liberians. You can make the argument that no one is perfect. Everyone have their own bad decisions in their lifetime. But fellow Liberians, we are all Liberians. Until the court can say this person is guilty of this, we have to work with our Liberian citizen. They too are Liberians. They too should have a stake in our governance. And for that reason, I have chosen them. I will ensure that they will do this and they will do that. No argument. He didn't feel the need to explain to us as citizens why he is making this decision other than to force their names in our throats that they are for real change. The names don't reflect real change. So Mr. Cummings needed to make an argument why he has made that decision. But he will not tell us. Let alone, we don't know who is the person for press. We don't know who the person for legal affairs. We are supposed to guess now that will be Aloysius too because he's a lawyer, or Lafayette Good because he's a lawyer. We are supposed to guess now that maybe the chair will be McIntosh because if you look at the list, he's number one, and the deputy chair is supposed to be Louis Brown because he's number two, or he's going to be the spokesman because he's the more eloquent among them. Are we supposed to be guessing now? Is that what it is? Is this the real change? Is this the real leadership? Sometimes I come across as fighting everybody. If you think that way, you are wrong. I'm fighting for what is right. I'm advocating for what is right. I'm demanding for what is right. I go back to my previous point. Why not a press conference giving this government an ultimatum and calling for a massive protest when their government fails to meet that ultimatum? The American government, through its ambassador, McCarthy, in Liberia, said, seize the moment. This is the moment. The diplomats in Liberia today are not diplomatic. But Mr. Cummings and all other political leaders in opposition have chosen to be diplomatic. How dare an ambassador say, seize the moment. You have our support. The greatest world power, America, is telling you it has your support in you doing everything to seize the moment. They went as far as sanctioning key leaders within your opponent's cycle. They've done that for you. And you fold your hands and can't tell about recycled bureaucrats as your solution, as your way of seizing the moment. Liberians are angry. Focus on Liberia has been able to cover the women of Liberia in tears and agony. They are tired. They are jumping over fences. All you have to do is to create the platform. Yaka Koluba is your guy. Some people think he's fearless. I don't know what kind of thing. What is there in Liberia for anybody to fear? I fear nothing. There's nothing in Liberia for anybody to fear. So, say you have chosen to use Yaka Koluba, use him. Say he's the craziest among you. Hire him politically. Let him organize a protest on the rights issue. The people that are mad and angry today will come to that protest. That is how you seize the moment. You have an administration that is hawkish, that is rocket, and you want to be diplomatic about them. You are not seizing the moment. You are letting the Americans down, and you say you are ready for prime time? I heard Louis Brown saying, we will go to the length and breadth of this country. We will sweep every village. And by that, he meant they will sweep every vote. Rice crisis in Liberia, it can give any opposition a political advantage. There was a moment for you to show, to inject yourself as the leader who cares about the Liberian people. If I were an opposition leader, even if I would be the only one on the day of protest, I would so do. When I see the tears of my people, when the women of Liberia are in line for days, jumping over fences, when the guy who calls himself the feminist in chief does not care, he's celebrating his birthday. The young people in his party are going to his dead mother's grave to celebrate him and thank his dead mother. I don't know why they didn't go to Maggie's mother's grave, because that one have Wi-Fi, it even has current. The place is comfortable enough. I don't know why they didn't go there. And you, the alternative, you who trying to say that you are better, that you care more, in Cummings' press statement, he said to say it bluntly, President Weah does not care. How does Cummings care? Women are in pain, they are in tears, they are crying, they're on lines for days. You can't call a protest to capitalize on the anger that is right and seize the movement in the words of the American ambassador. Your focus became telling us about McIntosh, Louis Brown, Julia Duncan Cassett, Daniel Chia, Yeke Koloba. That became your focus and your sole purpose of calling a press conference during a rice crisis. You are not calling a press conference to talk about how you will provide rice and make it affordable on the market so people can see that you are better. Weah is not having a press conference, you are. Weah is not being empathetic, you are. Weah does not care, you are. How? Your way? Louis Brown is my guy. McIntosh is my guy. Daniel Chia is my guy. Yeke Koloba. And that's what it is. That is what it is. They informed the nation that they were unveiling this team, this so-called real change team. So, folks, that is my presentation. I will take a short break. When I come back, the phone number is about to be placed on the screen for you to call. This is a debate that I'm prepared for, and I'm just trying to elevate the discussion to think about this thing a little more deeper. Here is the phone number on the screen, 605-313-6004. I would not give preference to comments today. I want Liberians to come and talk their own. I have said mine as a citizen. I have done my analysis as a media guy. I want to hear from you. I am not naive to say everything I said here is right. But I tell you, I was on point on this debate, and I want to hear you whether you are on point. Disagree with me so I can see why you didn't see. Is Cummings nurturing the anger? Is he leading the people to make their own decision? Is it that he does not want to jump ahead? Is that what it is? I don't know. How do you see it? I said my own. And let us conscientize ourselves and make our democratic space competitive. Let it be about ideas. Let it be about who is better among us to lead us. And that is all this is about. And so you have the number right there on the screen. You can call and we will be taking your call. So with that, I will take a short break and I will be right back to take your phone call. Stay tuned, folks. All right, folks, I'm back with you, and thanks for staying with us here at the Hour of Politics here at Focus on Liberia. Again, the number to call is on the screen there, 605-313-6004. Enter the code 791-403 £, and you will be given the opportunity to contribute to the discussion today. I know it is kind of debatable, but we have to talk about Liberia. That's the right thing to do at this time. The more we talk about the things that are happening politically in our country, the better it would be for us. I think someone told me, say back up Matthew, I don't remember who said it, that I think out of HBM formula, Dennis will help me with it. That person said, our mouths are not bullets or guns. Let us talk. All right. So that is it. We are waiting for your calls. We want you to call in and participate in the discussion. The number is right there on the screen below. So while we wait for calls, let me see if we have any. While we wait for calls, let's take some comments. And then when we start getting some calls, we will leave it there. We don't have a caller as yet, so that's beautiful. Let's read some comments. The number to call is also in the Facebook live field. Please, if you want to get it there, that'll be easier for you. It's on the screen as well. I came for a debate today. I came to debate Liberia. Let's read some comments here. Seesaw D. Freeman Rise is coming in Liberia soon, please. NMP, no rise, go outside anymore, please. Let's hear from I know Yulen said Liberia President Jawia has displayed a total failure in leadership in sectors of his government. He has refused to speak to the people of Liberia. He has become a disaster for Liberia. And this person said Cummings pay agent. I don't know who is a Cummings pay agent. This person, Aliu, Rock City Soiree, Cummings can't be president in Liberia. That year from Ebot Wayne, sorry. Right, talking to Aliu Rocket City Soiree, continue to mention his name. He's going to be your president, period. That person might be in Mr. Cummings. Conan, sorry, I can't pronounce your name well. I apologize. Maybe me as a media guy, right? Age Huckness Tape writes, I'm watching live from Zwedru City, Grand Judah County. He's watching from mine home of Southeast. Thing. Let's hear from Anita Kana. One thing I know, Mr. Cummings needs to win before he governs. So everyone welcome on board ABC Liberia next president. So that's the point I'm making. If that is the strategy, if you appoint these people, tell us your reason. If you think that you don't have to explain everything to us, we should just take it or leave it, then so be it. Sam Wallow, more unforced errors by by Cummings today. Sam Wallow writes, like hear from Marcus Davis. This guy behaves as if he understands, but he is very stupid. Is Cummings the president, Mr. Stupid Man? I am the stupid man. I accept my stupidity, but that is not pleasant on your side. This is a debate. This is analysis, right? And all you do is insult. I don't know who is the stupid person here now. Jeans August Bond. I don't know what the last name says. It's like, oh no. These kind of comments are unnecessary. When we come here to participate in these dialogues, please show yourself to make Liberia proud. We can all disagree and debate the issue, but these insults, come on, man, you are not a good representation of our dear country when you behave this way. Like hear from Sanoye Queen. Sanoye Queen writes, my dear, who this government can listen to. Like hear from Mianta Herring. When Barney and his wife left for Florida, did you see opposition coming up and speaking? Did you see Atlanta governor stop his job and focus on weather disaster? I don't know what the answer is going to be. Maybe you can figure that out. Apparently, you are telling me they don't have to do it, right? Let me go to somebody else. Maya Nackland writes, "What's your president's priority?" Someone is asking a question. That is Mr. Maya Nackland asking a question. Let's go to more comments. Let's hear from Mianta Dakina. Liberian people are their own problem. They should move on the road. Their big Papa George, we are coming. George, we are George, we are George. We are. I think she being a little more sarcastic there. Kajebo. Anthony said Mr. Cummings' press conference was announced to the people, to the public, with the title of naming the coming team. I got that. He was clear in his agenda that he was going to announce his team for the upcoming 2023 campaign and election. And I get it, but I'm saying that is his priority right now in the midst of rice crisis, right? And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm only saying he is telling us what his priority is during a major crisis. And that is my point. Let's hear from Mohammed S. Kamara. But when all those people were sleeping with Unity Party, you was unhappy with them, right? That's how the person pulled it. Let's hear from Mianta again, my King Yeke. You insult King Yeke, he will give to you, he will give it to you right by. Okay, that's the one we want in Liberia. You know, you do me, I do you kind of politics, right? Let me go to the Kajabo again. Let me see what Mr. Gabo is saying. Mr. C, please find another topic for your listening audience. These other arguments seem to be weak and disappointed. Yeah, you know, if it is weak and disappointed, why are you doing it? Just leave and go. This is a debate. I told you. You know, I'm not here to please you, but I appreciate you saying that it's weak. What can you say? And so then, see, the flyer said only names for Thing Cummings. I don't know what you're talking about, my dear sister. Let's go to the phone lines and see what we have there, or who we have there who might be waiting. I see two individuals here waiting. Let's start with the first person, phone number ending in 5613. What is your name and what are you calling from?
Yeah, hi, this is GS Kemo calling from Maryland.
Okay. Let us hear you.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this is another day where a politician missed the man. Even though we are doing that, Mr. Cummings decided to name his team today, but he still have also, like you said, seize the moment in the West crisis to go strong on the government. I think the government is on it. Think that don't care for the Liberian people, but instead he named his people. So it's all about them. If you don't know, it's all about me. It is me, me. That's why we are there. Instead of talking about the right thing on Sunday, we chose to talk about Louis Brown, Louis Brown. So it's the same thing. I mean, the Liberian people we just continue to pray to God and for God to send a real leader, not people who just think about themselves, you know. So I mean, I agree with you how he came today. He appointed his team, but he should have gone strong, strong, strong against the right thing here. I mean, on the right issue for the Liberian people. But he just weekly talk about it, and that was it.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
I
like I
think
said, to be fair to Mr. Cummings, he brought it up. But my thing, like you are agreeing with me, is that you know you could just publish this list of individuals, right? And but that is the decision he made during the major right crisis. You want to make it about what is a crisis on hand now, but he only called a press conference to tell us about these people will be on his team. And now, because he's aware that the rise crisis now, what is a major crisis in the country, became something like a side issue. And yeah, he spoke about it. Yeah, he talked about the cocaine, but that was not the reason why he called a press conference. I would not call a press conference to tell people about Louis Brown. All right, I would call a press conference to tell people about it when especially when the crisis is ongoing. You want to address the crisis as a leader. You want to be president of Liberia. The one we have now is not speaking to Liberians. Speak to Liberians on a serious subject when we really want to hear from somebody, when we want leadership. And that way you agree with me, and I just thought to reinforce that. So you please conclude, and then I'll go to the next person. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. All right. So if you are done, then that's it. Then I will go to the next person. And thanks for your participation.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you too for your analysis and your continual hit them.
All right. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah. Then we'll go to the next caller here. 8500 is the last four digit there. Your name and where you joining us from.
Yes, good afternoon. This is Jawukin. We are calling from Grand Factory, North Dakota.
Is this Jawikin? We are from the Tiawan camp.
This is Jawukin. We are, yes.
All right. Let us hear you, please.
Well, basically, like, I wouldn't talk for long about it because I'm at work.
Mhm.
And I didn't listen. I just saw your analysis on my phone. But from the listing, you talk about like Louis Brown
Mhm.
that were in Taylor, that was who was in Taylor government. Those people who damaged the country, if the economy can have them as a member of his team, they I don't know what kind of change he talks about. Liberians do not need to see the same people that caused the problem in the country to be part of the new change. So, in my opinion, and he did not even talk about what is going on currently in Liberia, the cocaine crisis. I don't know if they talked about that in details. What are his plans? I have I see a lot of stuff. Even I saw one of his men, Patrick Nimitz here, who is a minister for the Ori on Facebook, who also disappointed, and he is threatening to leave the campaign. So this means that Cummings really needs to do something better, rather than bringing the same people who caused the suffering of Liberia on board as part of his change. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you right there, Mr. Jawikin. We are from Team Cummings. I will identify you people when you come here. You people shouldn't hide. If you take a side, you should be prepared for that. Let me read more comments because those are the callers we have for now. Let's hear from Powerhouse, right? You are wrong for injecting protest. Are you killing me? Will you be there to hold on there? Will you be there to protest? Do you think protest will solve the rights issue? Liberians in America. So here's the thing. Dr. Martin Luther King protested during the era of segregation in Liberia. When the people of India were being enslaved in their own land by Great Britain, Gandhi protested. And mind you now, Dr. King was a Baptist minister. He protested. And today we are here enjoying a considerable semblance of equality in America, even though the gap is still wide. And you telling me to protest is the wrong thing. So what do you want people to do? To go in the butchers like Charles Taylor and others did, and Joel Howard Taylor supported them, and Louis Brown was with Charles Taylor in the Charles Taylor government. Is that what you really want? What do you want people to do? So I don't know what is wrong with protest. I don't know where you live. If you live in America, people protesting in America every day. America is still at peace. People protested, continue to protest around the world. What is wrong with that? Protest is an expression of disagreement and dissent. It's a civil action. What is wrong with that? And you think I'm wrong? Anyway, that's how she sees it, and I respect that. Manpool Dawson writes, Cummings surrounds himself with all these ex wannabes and wants to be taken seriously, she writes. Um, let hear from let us hear from Cooper Willen, ABC for job creation, especially for young people graduating from high school and colleges every year, no opportunity. Yeah, that's the thing. What about Cummings having a press conference? talking about how he will create joy if he's elected president at this time. And, what about that? Did he even go enough to tell the drugs issue? You talk about, with the help of the American, those people got busted. What would you have done if you were president? What would you have done as if you were president with the rise crisis? He fell short of that, other than to say, we all know George Weah is not a leader. By any true definition of what leadership is, President Weah is not President Weah knows. People who support him, they know that. They say that in the canon, they say that to us. So that is not up for debate. So Cummings should not be telling us what we already know about George Weah. We all know about the rise crisis. What action are you prepared to do? How will you do it differently if you were in the seat? That is what we want to hear. You are a political leader, you want to be president, and you are whining just like any other ordinary citizen. Then where is the leadership? That's the question I'm asking. And people don't just get it. All right, let's read more comments here. Liberians are participating. I love this debate. Let's hear from Wilson. Wilson, is that how you pronounce your last name? Let's say Wilson Nanda. Is that Nambe? I'm maybe Nambe. All right, sorry there. We don't need good ministers or lawmakers. All we need is a good president, my friend. You guys like misleading the people with your lies. I agree with the part that we need a good president, because the good president can put the bad leader in check, and if they don't deliver, you will fire them. Those people love those government jobs, so they will do anything to get it. Just as they will corrupt and use the money to stay in government. So if you keep them in check, they will fall in line. I agree with that. We need good president. That has been our problem. We need good president. But equally so, we need good leaders. I don't think the president is stopping any minister for doing the right thing. Let's hear from Francis C. Wilson. Francis writes, exactly. I'm hoping he's listening. He is listening and will respond, because this is indeed constructive criticism and worthy of a response. You see, Francis is on point. Francis saying this is constructive criticism. It's nothing wrong. I'm not saying anything bad here. And, what should be your focus during a crisis? What should be your focus? Norman Harris, the politics should be grounded in sound policies at this point in the game. And that is what Focus on Liberia is all about. Let the discussion be about the issues and policies and plans, and not telling all about people. Let's hear from Say Allah here. Focus on Liberia TV show. You people are not in the interest of Liberian. Hey man, please take your time to write a comment, man. Stop this thing. Please stop. We appreciate you being here. Please take your time to write your comments. If you're not here, we will not be here. We are here because of you, so please take your time. Do we have a caller, and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Minnesota, Mr. Spear.
Let us hear you.
Yeah. Thank you for taking my call. So once again, sir, you are trying to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Go ahead.
Hello, yeah. So again, like I said, you're trying to throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? Because again, like I said, not every decision in Mr. Cummings list will be 100%. Especially when we're trying to navigate, trying to pick who is right to lead you to the presidency, right? So now the question becomes, if we're going to be judging Mr. Cummings by that standard, you're going to say Mr. Bungalow working along with Mr. Bronto in the early administration. So that means Mr. Bungalow is going to be guilty as well. But the real question is, when do we truly start to judge Mr. Cummings? Is when he becomes president. Why am I saying that? Mr. Weah, when he was running, what did he do? He had the loudest mouth talking about World Economic Crisis Court. And then when he became president, no more. So the question becomes, if Mr. Cummings is going to keep his promise of bringing the World Economic Crisis Court, you see, so that way we're going to have to start judging him. So for me, I do support him. But tomorrow he becomes the president and he doesn't bring at least the economic crime court, then that's a problem. You know what I mean? Then that's a problem. At least the economic crime court. Because again, the work court might be difficult because one person or warlord is another person hero.
Thank
you. You know what I mean? So that might be a little bit tricky, a little bit difficult. But at least the economic crime court will be needed because we're going to start bringing some of these people to justice, right?
Mm-hmm.
But again, let's soon we bring the war crime court. Now everybody that participated in the war is a warlord.
Yeah.
Mr. Brown, like you said, he never have weapons.
Yes, that's what he said.
He has to go justify himself.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have to go there and go clear that name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but you understand Mr. Cummings' concept here. His concept is, in order to use the analogy of, a political Jesus Christ, somebody started laughing.
Mm-hmm.
Not because he's Jesus, but because the same reason why Jesus came, the same reason why Mr. Cummings is coming. He's not coming for the PO and righteous, but he's coming for everybody. You know what I mean? Because he's trying to at least let his light shine to where people will, you'll be able to lead, with the right example.
And,
you know what I mean?
And may I come in here? And that's one of the points I made earlier in my analysis. You understand? We are Liberians. We know all what happened. There's not a perfect person here, right? Comrade Jesus, when the issue of the woman who the people were trying to stone, right, to death was brought to Comrade Jesus' attention. Comrade Jesus, when he raised the moral argument, he said, who among you here have not sinned should be the first person to throw the stone. Right?
Exactly.
So when Comrade Jesus, by his held down, waiting for the first person to throw the stone, when he lifted her head, they were all gone. Because they themselves were able to self-reflect, and they came to the realization that they were not perfect at all. So that's the point I'm making, Mr. Cummings. If you are selecting these people, you have your reason. What is your reason? Tell us these people are Liberians. These people have not been found guilty of any court in our country. You may have your questions. I get it. You understand? But we have to work with all Liberians until any court can deny them of the right to participate. I'm going to work with the Liberians. And as I work with them, I will tell them my plans. This is what I can do, or this is what they cannot do. You can count on me for that. Make that argument, but you just throw the name at us. I mean, just like we are not important, we need to hold these people accountable. You are right. Joshua came, and there was no accountability. He never went to any debate. He was not scrutinized. People who were in the politics at the time, all they had to do is, Joshua did, men play football. No, that is not the kind of accountability. Let us demand from these people answers on the decision, explanation for the decisions that they are making. Let them show us our plan and their plans. We were never asked any plans, and here we are today. We are all crying that Joshua is bad. We knew he was bad, but he was shielded by some other Liberians. We will not do it this time. Mr. Cummings is one of our good sons. He must be held accountable at every length, and I'm prepared for people to come after me with whatever they have and let them bring it on. But we will fight for the soul of this country. We don't know who is going to be the best president for Liberia. We should ask them the question, and that is what I'm doing. And I want to say thank you, and you can conclude.
So again, thanks for taking my call. So, when it comes to, everything about, protests and Cummings got to come out strong, I hope, we have to take into consideration, human beings as human to all have our differences, right? Because for me, when I first started following Mr. Cummings, I thought maybe he wasn't firing enough. That was my problem. But then I started to realize that, okay, this man is different. This man, he may not be the tough talking person, but he's very decisive in the decision making. This man did not get to where he got, just because, he was the most handsome man or the tallest man, but quite soon, Pittsburgh saw something in him. That's the reason why they gave him the opportunity. So I hope that this also see that, not to say, because he's not, talking tough, or because he's not leading the biggest protest, so that means he's not going to be the president that we need. But then they have certain kind of qualities and skills that, these big corporations saw. That's why they gave the confidence to him. Why would a man that, not more than, 5, 10, big company like Coca-Cola, we trust him with that kind of responsibility? They must have seen something.
Thank you.
So we've got to be careful not to throw our own son away based on the fact that he's not maybe tough talking or you're not leading the biggest protest. You're just fighting a different kind of fight and you're fighting from behind the scenes. And as you can see, Joshua is running around the place because why? He's in the heat and he's in a tough fight. I thank you very much for the opportunity.
You are so welcome, and thank you for calling. Let us go to the phone line again. 4147, last four digits, your name and where you're joining us from, please.
My name is Michael Padmore. I'm joining you guys from Minnesota.
Mr. Padmore, is this Team Cummings guy, Padmore, and focus on like raw on point? You got to disclose yourself, man. Don't hide it. Go ahead.
Yes, yes, indeed. I am a supporter of the Alternative National Congress.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed, it is me.
All right.
So I listened to you.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to your analysis,
mm-hmm.
and I must say I do disagree on a few things. The first thing I disagree on is that the Liberian people do not need Alexander Cummings to protest. The Liberian people do not need Alexander Cummings to let their government know their plight and their suffering. As a matter of fact, if you look at human history, some of the most successful protests have not been led by political leaders. It's been by the spontaneous uprising of the people to speak to the government about their plight. So when you say that you expect Alexander Cummings now to call for a protest, I disagree with you. I think the people who are the ones indeed suffering should be able to rise up on their own and demand to hear from their government. On another point, where you mentioned concerning this list that has come up by Mr. Cummings, we have to remember this is not his cabinet. Mr. Cummings was not naming for you his government officials. This is a political team that has the responsibility to run a political campaign. And that's what it is. You can't bring a health expert, a public works expert, an engineer to run a political campaign. You have to bring politicians. And that's who they are. I'm quite confident that Mr. Cummings, as a leader, no matter who is on that list, will fall into conformity with the express wishes and values of Mr. Cummings and govern themselves accordingly. He has presented a list.
Mr. Pamol, let me hold you there. You made two key points. You disagree with me.
Yes.
And I find that so interesting. I like the discussion. So, to your first point, he said, Mr. Cummings. So let me start with the last point, that this is not appointment into government. This is his team. The last time when Obama pulled his campaign team together, those who were members of that campaign team ended in the government somewhere, advisors. I don't see where Louis Brown, who campaigned for Charles Taylor and ended up in the government, I don't see where Tuga McEvoy, who campaigned or supported Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and then ended up in the government. Are you telling me these people Cummings are brought, who he has listed, they are coming to just campaign for Cummings, and then after the campaign is over, they go back to their homes and watch the show? Is that what you want me to believe? Now, on the issue of your first, let me address your first issue. Your first issue, that throughout history, ordinary people, protested, the Liberian people don't need Cummings to protest, right? So then to that, I said this: if your child is hungry, are you telling me all your child needs to do is to go into the fridge and take the food, even when there's no food in that fridge? Is that what you're telling me? The Liberian people are looking for leadership. There's no leader in the room. Cummings has said that President Weah does not care. How does Cummings show that he cares? How?
So here's the thing. There are three things you ask. So the first one, I will answer the last question first. How does Cummings show that he cares? Cummings shows that he cares One, by empathizing with the people, by continuing to encourage them, and three, by continuing to offer himself as a viable alternative come 2023. That is how Cummings shows that he cares. What I said to you, your analogy concerning the child, I don't believe is correct. And this is why I say that. You reference the Liberian people as children, that can't feed themselves, that can't cook for themselves, that can't do the basic things for themselves and need an older person to do that. This is not the case. Nobody needs to tell the Liberian people they are hungry. Nobody needs to tell the Liberian people they are suffering. Nobody needs to tell the Liberian people that there is no food. They are seeing it for themselves. They are seeing it for themselves, and they know what to do.
All right.
They know what to do. Okay.
Thank you. That was Michael Padmo. He is a supporter of Mr. Cummings, member of the ANC, and he is also a co-host here at Focus on Liberia on our program On Point. We just wanted to disclose that. What we're going to do right now is to bring you some advertisement. Focus on Liberia will be coming up with a debate this Friday. This time it's not on politics. We will be having a social issue debate. So this Friday is debate night. Friday debate night here at Focus on Liberia on social issue. What is the social issue? We will be talking about whether or not it's okay for a man to marry more than one wife. Is it okay for men to marry more than one wife? In other cultures, in other religions, it's been done. Is it okay in Christendom, it is forbidden for a man to marry more than one wife. It was been done before many years. Was there any problem for which it got stopped by Comrade Jesus? And then the other side is some guys are having side chicks. A lot of guys are having side chicks all over the place. So if it is okay for a guy to have a side chick, is it okay for a woman to have a side dude? And the bigger question is, should there be the same standards set for both men and women? Because it's obvious we are not setting the same standards. Many people think it's okay for a guy to have a side chick. Some people even celebrate that guy and think he's smart. Some women included think so. But then when a lady have a side dude and say, oh, they call her all kinds of names. That debate will be on Focus on Liberia. Folks, you do not want to miss it. You want to see my other side, you should come. I will be part of the debate this time. Baku Kenjuja will be the moderator of that debate. Steve Bowler will be here. Sekou Keller will be here. Mampu Dawson will be here. Caroline will be here. And Glade will be here. What a debate. You do not want to miss that debate. And also, folks, the history of Liberia continues. Our presenter called Famula will be here this Saturday. You don't want to miss another edition of the Liberian History Channel presented here by Call Yeye or Call Famula. You don't want to miss it. Her favorite quote, standing on the shoulders of giants. You don't want to miss it. And also, folks, we do not want you to miss our Saturday program here. Our Saturday program is FOL Marketplace. That is our business and economic forums where we talk everything business, finance, and economics. Politics will not get us to the promised land. If we must get to the promised land, it has to be business. It has to be economics. It has to be entrepreneurship. The politics is just a waste of time, folks. And not politics that build America. Politics did not build China. Politics did not develop any developed country. Politics should be more about policy, but we are poor when it comes to policy. So let us inject ourselves in business and economics. Entrepreneurship will get us there, folks. Technology will get us there. So don't miss our business and economic forum every Saturday. Yeah, is it. there. Our business and economic forum is every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and which is 7 p.m. GMT in Liberia. Folks, you do not want to miss it. So, folks, with that said, I will give you a succinct closing after this very, very, very brief break. I will give you my closing. Don't go anywhere with the closing of it all. That's the part I know most of you dearly and dearly love. So the closing is coming after this short break. And so, folks, this is how we will come to the end of another edition of the Hour of Politics. Liberia needs a leader, bold, fearless, who is ready to fight for the soul of this country. The person does not have to show muscles, but the ideas of that leader must be bold. For the issues are serious, for we are in the deepest hole of all. Everything in Liberia is in shambles. Look, folks, when I hear a leader speak, I listen to what they are saying, not the eloquence, like the eloquence of Louis Brown. It entertains me. I wish I had that power when it comes to using the English language. I wish I had it. If I had it, I would move the war. I would move Liberia in a positive direction. But eloquence will not get us to the promised land. Oh, of course not. Eloquence will not get us to the promised land. What will get us there is a leader with bold ideas who is ready to take the fight to those who are plundering the state. It's that leader, Alice Benedict Cummings, where they say we can't be doing the same thing over and over and expect different results. And yes, he appoints his so-called real change, and the individuals don't look like people with the credentials and records of real change. Cummings continues to tell us he believes in delivering results and that he is from result-driven arena. Oh, that couldn't be so right. And so when you are from a result-driven arena that is structured, where things are done in a coordinated fashion, then you must bring those values where decisions are made in the best interest, where decision becomes examples for others to follow. Then you must come with those examples. But what we've seen over and over is the man who says we cannot be doing the same thing over and over and expect different results, and yet does the same thing over and over and expect different results. The journey of the CPP was just one example. Rolling with Yeke Koloba is another example. The appointment of this so-called real change could not be a profound and disappointing example of it all. Calling a press conference to tell us about political bureaucrats while the nation is engulfed with crisis for rice shortage. And then he gives a press conference to tell us about the likes of Yeke Koloba, the likes of Daniel Chie, the like of Toka Gawe McIntosh, Julia Duncan Kasser, a cash cow of corruption. And this is it. This is the real change. How in any shape and form this is not doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Mr. Cummings, Monyedes, the ANCers must hear this, and they must recalibrate if they are to get this thing right for our country, Liberia. And I've been thinking, if the argument is that these are Liberians, we have to work with them, then be like Cummings Jesus, who, when the argument came before him about this lady, who they said, if I'm not mistaken, about adultery, and they were trying to stone her because they said she had committed a crime. Cummings Jesus said, and I quote, "He who have not sinned should be the first to throw a stone." And when the self-reflected, they realized they too were sinners, and that woman deserved compassion. And so she was giving compassion. And so if Mr. Cummings is having an argument, if he has a reason, let him present the argument. Let us not just fold these people in our throats. And that is the debate I'm making. That is the debate I'm making. But when your appointed team members resemble the team members of President Weah, then you are no different. When we look on Weah's side, we see Eugene Namwe, who was with MPFL, MPP, and now here's our guy that President Weah is giving us. When we look on Weah's side, we see Joy Howard Taylor, the queen of MPFL, and she became the queen of MPP, a vicious political and rebel group that desecrated the Republic of Liberia. That is the person the so-called country giant chose, and Mr. Cummings goes to work and does the same thing. Weah gives us a charge bright and appointed him as so-called prime minister, that he has the power to fire and do just about anything. We arose with Prince Johnson, the murderer of the First Order. We arose with Edwin Snow, Charles Taylor's former son-in-law, who was so powerful. He's on Weah's side. We are crying. We are complaining that these individuals should not be the faces of this country called Liberia, for we have gone through too much. Cummings comes and say he is the man of change, that he's giving a real change team, and the characters that he named are a complete replica of what Joshua is giving us. So I beg the question, where is the real change he's talking about? Is it change of more of the same, or actually real change? And I conclude to say real change my fault. I know what real change is when I see one. Real change has the faces of people with impeccable character. Real change has the faces of people with a track record or delivering results. People who pass performances show that they will be able to perform again. That's the reason why when one applies for a job, there is something called background check. There's something called interview. So as to know what has been this person's record, human behavior becomes a pattern. What I know to do is what I will do wherever you put me. There's a common Liberian parable that says, monkey will never leave a black hen behind. You think Edwin Snow has changed? You think Eugene Namwe has changed? You think Joy Howard Taylor has changed? They are in a government that is condemned, corrupt, that has been sanctioned. Just as the one they served in under Charles Taylor was condemned, corrupt, and there was an economic embargo. So how will the Cummings government be different when these people he's asking to make him president will have to be in his government? Is he going to make them to behave well? That is what we were told by Aloysius Stowe, who is the current Secretary General of the opposition ANC. Aloysius Stowe told me on this platform that they were going to change Benny Nayure. And so they were making the right judgment for joining the CPP. It was then Benny Nayure that sue Mr. Cummings and told him to go and drag his reputation in a court of law. And that CPP went into tatters. The hopes of Liberians went under the toilet. And today, some people have this, they believe that George Weah can become president because the opposition destroyed what was hopeful for the Liberian people. Folks, we know what we are saying when we speak. Don't listen to the yelling we do. We want a better country. Cummings can give us that better country. I don't doubt it. But I have doubts when he acts in this manner. Because what he's doing now is what he will do when he becomes president. George Weah is doing what he did when he was not in government. So don't get this twisted. Don't tell me his decisions will be different when he becomes president. George Weah's decisions are not different today because that all he was when he was not in government. I hope you got it now. And so I will have to leave now. For this yelling does not carry Liberia anywhere. Cummings is right. We have to do the work to change Liberia. Let us do the work, but with the right people who have the record and character to get things done in the right way. It cannot be done with the wrong people, with bad experiences. It cannot and will not be done with those people. George Weah is not able to bring war crime court today because of Prince Johnson, because of the lives of Edwin Sword and many people, and Joel Howard Taylor. In fact, in Joel Howard Taylor's own words, we do not need a war crime court for Liberia. On code, when we do, it will have a ripple effect on this country because according to her, in her eloquence, we are interconnected. The interconnectedness of our country. Seriously? How a lawyer speaks with such ignorance that one who is accused should not have a date in court to exonerate themselves, and she calls herself a lawyer, and this is the person who advises George Weah. No wonder why we will never and never get to the war crime court under this government. This is the same thing Cummings is doing. So my doubts remain profound that his decisions that have become questionable and hence question will be the very decision he makes when he comes to government. And so, folks, I have to leave. I can't win the debate on day one, but I've already won the debate. The song says we are all Liberians. Cummings is a Liberian. He must be a Liberian that gets it right. He cannot be a Liberian George Weah who does not get it right. He cannot be the Liberian Ellen Johnson Sirleaf who did not get it right. We want a Liberian who will get it right. We don't know who's going to be president. So when they speak, we hold them accountable to get the right thing done. Until I see you again, I'm leaving you with this debate, and the debate continues. The song says we are all Liberians. A guy like me who is in the business of pushing cartoon got to go and push it now. Thank you. Enjoy the song. We are all Liberians, and indeed we are. Bye-bye.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home.